All right, so we say a very happy celebration to the younger ones as we celebrate with them the Children's Day 2023. You saw our first guest there, very brilliant, very intelligent, speaking on behalf of the children. And that's one thing we must allow them to be able to speak out and be confident, and be in a position where they can share what they like, what they do not like with us. Next in the studio is a live guest, and she is Peace Eze. And Peace Eze is a transformational coach, a highly accomplished educator, a certified educational psychologist who is dedicated to empowering individuals and transforming lives. She's also CEO, Higher Fit Nigeria, and an author. She is a lead servant of the Christian Life Network and more. Welcome to the show, Peace.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. When I got your CV, I thought we were going to have
one big madam.
One big madam.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
No, most times when you see your picture, you look different because of the size and all. Well, this is who I am.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for making the time.
All right.
So, one of the reasons we decided to discuss this topic on Children's Day, especially pertaining to children, is that a lot of children are influenced wrongly, and sometimes not necessarily that they don't have a good background from home where they are raised, but they just sometimes, I find that many of the children, and I think it happened to all of us while we were growing up, we wanted to be part of the cool kids, we wanted to belong, or we don't want to be seen like some goody two shoes and all of that. So this is the reason why we're talking today about handling pressure, especially for children. So I know that sometimes you hear parents say, "Oh, I've done everything. How did you join this gang?" So first of all, what do parents need to do first before we start speaking to the children to help their children with handling peer pressure?
Okay, so firstly, I would say that peer pressure would start in a child because this child is yet to find himself or discover himself such that he becomes comfortable with himself. So I think parents would need to help their children to find themselves. So beyond telling them this, don't do that, or this is the rule, this is the structure we have in the house, or be contented with it. Beyond those instructions, beyond those rules that we set for these children, I think we have to allow these children find themselves so that they can be comfortable, so that, when they go out there, they are not tensed, they're not under any pressure to be like somebody, to belong to this society and all that. So when they see themselves for who they truly are, when they see the values that they bring, when they see the gifts that they have, and they feel accomplished in themselves as they are, I think that will go a long way. So parents can help them by discovering themselves.
So how do the parents, because parents are watching now, so what are the things that parents need to do? So it's one thing to help your child identify, but how do I know, or how do I identify and encourage this child in the right path?
Okay, so that's one thing would be to really observe your child. See, because we have a lot of parents who do a lot of talking, but we are sometimes too busy that we don't even notice the little things that these children can do. So they have some gifts, they have some natural abilities that if you take your time to really see these things, you would say, oh, this girl, this boy is good at this. Let me help them harness this, okay? Because I think children are pressured to be like somebody when they don't know that this is who I am and I'm fine with this. So they think, okay, maybe because, I'm just using this name as an example, so maybe because Bemi is always talking this way, I should start talking like this. Meanwhile, the way they talk is fine. Or maybe because Bemi is always bringing this particular kind of snack, and the snack my mom gives me, the snack my dad gives me is fine, but because they're not comfortable, so the parent can help by observing. Try to know your child for who they really are, beyond what you think they should be or who you think they are, because you might think that you know them, but when you look critically, you start seeing certain things. You even begin to see the changes when they occur, as soon as they occur. So observe them, find out what they truly like. Don't impose your likes on them. Don't impose your wants on them. Let them discover themselves. And when they do, be fine with that discovery. Don't impose what you think it's acceptable by you because of your own status or because of what you think is acceptable in the kind of home you're trying to build. when they discover themselves, as long as it's in line with the right values, as long as it's in line with the right values, then help them out. Just, I think with time, they would also be fine with being themselves.
Okay.
All right, we have
Yes.
gone a bit far in this conversation.
Yes.
I'd like to bring us back a little bit. You know, this word, peer pressure, is a word that we throw around so easily. Just break it down for us.
Okay.
What is peer pressure, and how damaging can it be to the child?
All right. Okay, so peer pressure generally is the indirect or direct influence that people have on themselves, especially because they share perhaps similar interests, they have similar experiences, they belong to similar social statuses. So peer pressure is just the influence that, for now, we're talking about children. So the influence that children have on themselves as a result of the society that they found themselves in. So that's peer pressure.
So it comes from the outside.
Yes, it comes from the outside. It's always external. Peer pressure would always be as a result of what people see or hear. You know, what you don't know don't harm you. It cannot harm you. So because of what you have seen over time, because of what you've heard from outside, from the environment, you begin to juxtapose. You're comparing your life based on what you are seeing, based on what you're hearing. So that's how peer pressure comes naturally, from what they see, from what they hear.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there such a thing as healthy peer pressure?
Yes, there is. You know, most times when we talk about peer pressure,
It's
yes,
like
we always look at
negative. It's in
it
a
from the
bad light,
negative
yes.
aspect, yeah. But peer pressure can also be positive, such that when the child is influenced by what he's seeing or hearing, he's making use of that influence for a positive change in his or her life, such that, you know, he's motivated to be better. So say I see somebody in my class doing better than me. I'm not pressured to, you know, want to get A's at all costs. Rather, I'm pressured to go and study. I'm pressured to associate with those people who are doing better than me in the class. So peer pressure can be positive by, you know, helping you to want to get better, you know, motivating you to push beyond your current status or your current achievement. So it can be positive.
Okay. We are specific about children now.
Yes.
But you know, the children, in an environment where you have children, you have the adults, and the actions and the activities and the level of awareness and knowledge of the adults also affects the children. So we're talking about the family setting, you know. So, Fumi asked earlier, how can we help these children? And how do we identify, you know, the areas that we need to adjust? And you talked about letting the children be themselves, let them discover themselves. Go deeper into this, in the areas where we can help our children to discover themselves, so that at least the negative aspect of peer pressure, you know, would not be the things that we have to worry about.
Okay. All right, so I would say communication, and also instilling the right communication practice in the child, because sometimes we have children who are not open. So they don't tell you what is getting to them, but that thing is affecting them. So for us to really discover them, for us to help them discover themselves as well, there needs to be that communication. We need to bridge that gap. So we need to help them create a safe space for them to be open, for them to tell us, so, okay, so I was in school today and somebody did this and I really felt affected, or I saw this and I would really love to have something like, rather than keeping quiet and now feeling bad that, oh, my mom doesn't do this, oh, my dad doesn't do this. So communication, so that they can open up. A lot of children are keeping quiet so much and it's affecting them. We see a lot of people going into depression. Even there was a case of a small boy of 8 years having high blood pressure, not because his age, do you understand? But because he has taken so much, and this child doesn't have somebody to pour out to, so they're not expressing themselves. So when they don't express themselves, they implode rather than, you know, exploding. So they implode, they take a lot of things inside, and when they don't communicate, it affects them. So peer pressure can be curbed when they are open, when they have that safe space to always communicate. So they have parents who are willing to hear anything from them, you know, even if it makes sense and doesn't make sense. So let them communicate. And I think teachers have a role to play as well. So you notice a child who is always very free suddenly starts keeping quiet. I think probe that child. Why are you so quiet today? What's the matter? So with time, when they feel that they can be vocal at all times, they will not hold a lot of things in. They don't allow it get to the point that, you know, it begins to make them uncomfortable, begins to cause depression or anxiety. Do you understand? So I think that communication is very key.
Okay. So back again to the children.
Yes.
What will you say to a child who, wants to belong? So, he has been grounded from home. Everything is fine, but they're always telling him, you're always doing born again, or you're always doing neddy, or bookie. We don't want to, But he really wants to belong to that clique and to that group. And then he finds them, doing something wrong. But because he wants to belong to that clique, he just plays along. How do you communicate with this child to tell him that, look, this cool gang is not...
It's not cool after all.
It's not cool after all. How should he balance it? Because, it's just the human nature. We want to socialize, we want to mix with people and all. So how does a child handle that? Okay,
so I think it boils down to value system, both from the home and in the school. So I was talking with a parent yesterday, something happened and then the child was complaining, oh, my mom hates me, my mom does that. So I had to help the child see that your mom doesn't hate you, but she hates this particular habit that you're exhibiting. So I think we need to help them build right value system. So in as much as it's cool to always want to be involved, we want this social acceptance, we don't want rejection, So in as much as we want all of this, they have to build a value system for themselves so they see what is right and what is wrong. And I think we need to help children now always reflect on decisions that they take. Because when a child does something and doesn't see that there was any negative outcome for what I did, even though that was wrong, the child will keep on doing that. So we need to help them build a value system and help them to think deeply over the decisions and the actions that they take. So they need to always reflect. So you can call, oh, John, sit down. Okay, why do you think I was angry at you over this action? Let them see that this was wrong. So when we build that value system for them, help them always reflect on decisions. This will be a habit that over time, when they even grow up as adults, they can come into the light. They know that, okay, this is wrong, not because somebody's not doing it or because somebody's there. It's just wrong because for me, I don't think I should be involved in this. So regardless of that, wanting to be a part of one social club or one association, they just have to see what is wrong by themselves, not because you are telling them. So they need to reflect and see why this is wrong and not just get involved.
This is so critical for me because you've taken it back to the family.
Yes.
Yes. And that is key. Because if you know whose child you are, and like they tell us, the parents must be who they say they want the children to be. They must live by example. So when you are living by example, and the children become grounded in these examples, positive examples, it gets a little more difficult for them to just blend with the world.
True.
Now, having said that, while going through your CV, I also saw that you've done quite a bit of work with the special needs people.
Yes.
Especially the children.
Yes.
How kind would you say the world has been to this set of people?
Okay, so
what are the peculiar challenges
that
you have?
All right, so in Nigeria, I think we are trying. We have a lot of organizations that are really looking into special needs children right now. So I think we are trying, and we have a lot of schools that are working on inclusion. So we know how to merge them in the classroom, how we help them. So I think so far the society has been helping. We have a lot of, even non-governmental organizations have been getting involved. Even parents now, gone are those days when we have, when parents have children with peculiar needs like this, and they begin to say, my village people, spiritual powers and the rest. Do you understand? So gone are those days. But now I think people are just beginning to see that, okay, so my child has this need and I just have to help out with this. So I think the society is helping. People are accepting them for who they are and just giving them room to learn at their own pace and be themselves at their own pace without putting so much pressure on them. I think so.
Okay, so let's talk about handling peer pressure for parents.
Okay.
Like Helen rightly said about how children are going to emulate what they see in their parents.
Yes.
But I find that a lot of parents are still handling their own peer pressure. So even with choosing of a school, so for example, someone was telling me that, they're looking for a school for their children recently, and she was asking, and I was like, what are the things you want for your child in your school? Because those are the things that it takes how I find a school for my child. What are the things I'm looking for? What are the things I like? Whether it's academic, whether it's this and everything. But I find that many parents are in particular schools because of pressure. They are doing things out of pressure, and then it's all over them. So I know, yes, it's children that we're talking to the children, but to the parents too. Yeah. How do we now handle this pressure of, this person's child, especially, I think many schools, not all, have banned this party pack issue, because at some point, party pack became like a competition.
Really?
Like literally, this person has done this, then, I'm going to come and do it.
Exactly.
And then
on their birthdays.
Oh, yes, it's always like, a tussle. And I'm like, just do according to your power. And even sometimes, even if you can't afford to do all this, I don't know. But how do parents now handle pressure from other parents, in their children's school, or, anywhere else?
Okay. All right. So just like you mentioned, we can't give what we don't have. So I think that parents can handle peer pressure on themselves by also being contented, because whether we like it or not, indirectly or directly, we are sometimes moved by other people's achievements, other people's doings. You're like, look at this, look at me, she's my friend, and I have to, we just have to. You cannot kill yourself. You can't do beyond yourself. Just give yourself time to grow. Even if it looks like, you are not at a particular level yet, give yourself time to grow. Recognize that you are on a different lane, and that other family, that other mom is on her own lane. So I think we just have to be contented with what we have, or the particular level that we find ourselves in currently. So because it's happening in so many schools. I've worked with so many schools, and I see these things, some people, you even see them looking at themselves. It's like, look at what this person wants to come pick up today.
Yes.
And I'm like, do you understand? So just be fine. You are not doing so bad yourself. Give yourself a pat on the shoulder, and you're all right. So your child may not be like this person's child, but it's still okay, because eventually your child has a different path. So just be cool. Be fine with where you are. Be contented. So I think that's key. So if we can, by ourselves as adults, learn this, it's easy to replicate it on our children. So the child knows that even if my dad is not driving this car, and this other person that comes with this car, it's fine. My dad will eventually buy this car at a time that is more convenient for him.
And so your dad doesn't have to buy that car.
Exactly. He doesn't have to buy it. I remember a story of a boy that, this is his secondary school now. So he has a reputation in school that has gone beyond what he actually is, and he was hiding his parents from his friends. So one of the days, the dad came up, and apparently the dad is a driver, a commercial vehicle driver, and the boy was embarrassed. And when they were calling his name, your dad is here, the guy's his countenance just went down totally. And I'm like, you don't have to be who you are. No, it's fine that your dad is this. You don't have to try to feel among, try to force yourself in a circle because you feel like these guys are the reigning guys in school and all that. So let people just learn content. It's key. They need to just learn contentment. So I think
we've gotten so soaked in
that
we have forgotten that this is meant to be a part conversation. So let's just take a quick break. Let us take some, get some peace of mind for just a moment, and then we return to have to talk more with her on peer pressure and how we can help the children cope with it. It's still to do with John and Helen on PlusTvAfrica. We'll be back in a bit.
Thank you for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, we have been talking about handling peer pressure, both for children and for adults and for parents. Yes. All right.
We're about wrapping up.
Yes, we're just about wrapping up. And, Ms. Eze has been a fantastic guest. I really have been enjoying the conversation. So, we're talking about pressure in schools, with friends. Let's talk about the society, at large. You finish school, you have come into the real world, like we like to call it. And then pressure is not only just from one side. When you're in school, maybe you want to join the cool kids, you want to, but in the larger society, when you now come out, there's pressure from every angle to be a certain way. You talk about dressing a certain way, eating a certain way. You just want to join the fight. And it's not just from one part; it's from everywhere now. How do we handle this pressure?
Okay, so to handle pressure generally as adults in the society, I think we also need, aside the other things that I've mentioned, being contented and having your own value system, I think that we need to have support system around us. So we need to be surrounded with people who can tell us you're fine, even when we start feeling like we're not doing so.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you feel like life is becoming too much, we need to surround ourselves with people that are always encouraging us, not pulling us down, people who are cheering you on, even when you don't think you are doing enough. So we should just surround ourselves with people who love us, people who would support us regardless, people who would push us to be the best of ourselves and not get entangled in this rat race of trying to pursue this or be like this, all of these things. So I think that's key.
And I mean, change, they say, is constant.
It is,
so if you're here today, it's definite you will not be here tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's a progressive movement.
Yes.
If you do the right things.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
coming
you.
to share with us on this very special day.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Any final words to the children watching this show?
Okay, so the children watching this, I want you to just know that your life is beautiful. Your life is beautiful. Your life is beautiful. You are fine the way you are. You are beautiful. You are smart. Don't get pressure. Don't compare yourself with your classmates, your schoolmates. Just be fine, all right? Your life is beautiful. And eventually, that future, that big dream that you have, you will get there.
Amen.
All right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
up next, we're going to have the fitness segment. And after the fitness segment, we're having Pharaoh and her guest. They'll be speaking on sexual compatibility. This is a very interesting topic, sexual compatibility. So stay with us. Don't go anywhere.